Good morning, everyone. Today, we are going to discuss a critical and timely topic in international relations, that is, the evolving situation in West Asia and its implications for India, based on an insightful analysis written by the Ambassador Pankaj Sir in Indian Express on 28th June 2025. So let's dive into the key takeaways and I will explain them in a way that is both relevant for your GS paper 2 and also it will build an analytical perspective for your essay and interview rounds as well. First takeaway, rise of unilateralism. That is what we can observe. Rise of unilateralism. The first point to understand is that military conflicts are becoming normalized again in global affairs. So, military conflicts are common. And the countries are increasingly resorting to unilateral military action, bypassing international law. And they are not considering the organizations like United Nations suggestions or warnings both. For instance, the US recent strike, that is Operation Midnight Hammer, they called it as Operation Midnight Hammer. So they conducted this operation on nuclear sites which are in Iran and Israel's direct attacks, and these two are the best example of this trend because the Israel was supported by United States of America. It all started with the Hamas-Israel war on October 7, 2023. Since then, the Israel has systematically targeted Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, and also now Iran. So this is a process of strategic sanitization. We can call it as a technical term, strategic sanitization, where the Israel is attempting to neutralize threats in its neighborhood. So there is a clear cut of unilateralism in the region, especially when it is supported by the United States of America. The second key takeaway is shifting the power equations. Shifting the power equations. So, Iran actually stands militarily weakened and diplomatically isolated, right? So, what is the status of Iran? Generally, it has a military, but it is a weakened military. It's a weak military. And the second is diplomatically also it is almost isolated. Just a bare minimum lip support of different countries like Russia may come into the picture, but not in the original stand. Interestingly, even the Gulf countries, though they are traditionally seen as sympathetic to Iran, they have quietly welcomed Iran's nuclear degradation, right? On the other hand, Israel has had tactical military success, but it is losing support in global public opinion. Here you have to understand two different things. One, Iran militarily weakened and diplomatically isolated. Originally, the Gulf countries generally they seen a very sympathetic to the Iran, but they're also quietly welcoming Iran's nuclear degradation by the United States and Israel. The major powers like Russia and China have deliberately stayed out, while the West has supported Israel and the US despite widespread public protests. This shows a fractured global response to this crisis. The third important key takeaway you can understand is the collapse of the rules based order. collapse of the rules based order. The third insight, this one is deeply troubling because the rules based international order is collapsing. The unilateralism has defeated multilateralism. Interests have replaced values because generally the multilateralism promotes the value based system, but this unilateralism generally always prefers the interest of the particular country. The international legal framework such as United Nations, International Court of Justice, there are so many setups are there. These are all being bypassed, setting a dangerous precedent. This is not just a regional concern now, it's a global one. And the fourth takeaway we can consider is global double standards. Here you need to understand very carefully. Some countries are routinely condemned for their actions while others escape scrutiny. For example, Iran is accused of nuclear deceit and terrorism. Yet similar or even worse actions by other powers are often overlooked. From India's perspective, this resonates strongly. We face the similar hypocrisy while dealing with the Pakistan based terrorism. The image of the Pahalgam terror attack mastermind being welcomed in Washington just before a major US operation is a striking example of these global inconsistencies. So the globe should not go for the double standards because the whatever the Israel is doing on Iran, and it should be condemned in in a similar way when the Pakistan is attacking India through its terror camps. But that is not happening. The Western world was very critical of Iran at this point of time and supporting Israel, and India, they are not supporting India against the Pakistan. So there is a clear observation of the double standards out there. The second one is India's Operation Sindhur. India has launched its own Operation Sindhur, which aims at neutralizing cross-border threats. This shows that even India is now willing to act unilaterally to protect its national interests, just like Israel and US. So India is slowly moving to the unilateral system. Of course, India respects multilateralism, but if we want to take our national interests into the first consideration as a priority, obviously India is also willing to act unilaterally. It reflects a shift in India's posture from restraint to strategic assertiveness. This is particularly significant in light of our long lasting issues with Pakistan and the lack of collective global action against terrorism originated from its soil. The sixth important takeaway we can call is evolution of modern warfare. Evolution of modern warfare. So generally the ground wars, previously it is very common, but now those ground wars are replaced by high tech wars, and it is a contactless precision strikes. Nations now rely on drones, AI. They are using drones, they are using AI, they are using satellite images, and they are using cyber warfare. So many other kind of the warfares are coming into the picture. They all deployed in a short timed operations. Speed, precision, and limited exposure are the new doctrines of military engagement. So you need to understand the military engagements now, they're relying on the speed, they're relying on precision, and they're relying on limited exposure. Limited exposure to what? From where we are attacking. Previously, when it is a ground war, we have a full scale of exposure to the enemy. Now we have a limited exposure to the enemy. So, as a future policymakers and administrators, understanding this transition is very much vital as an aspirants for you, because it influences defense strategy, foreign policy, and also budgeting allocations. Now, let us try to understand how the India's diplomatic balancing act is happening since last few months. So India, so let us try to understand India's diplomatic engagement in this scenario. As you know that India and Israel are friends. Both are friends, and their relations are at their peak, with both nations united in their stand against terrorism and hostile networks. There is a long history of the mutual support in times of the crisis as well. At the same time, India cannot ignore Iran, because Iran is very, very important to India. Why? Because Iran shares civilization links with India, because it is sharing the civilization links, and it has a geostrategic importance, especially for connectivity to Central Asia and Afghanistan. So it has geostrategic importance as well. If you want to connect Central Asia and Afghanistan, if you want to build a good networking connectivity, the Iran's role is very much important. And also, Iran is very much important to counter Pakistan. So in fact, Iran's own operation against Jaish-e-Adil camps in Pakistan last year shows that India and Iran face the similar threats. So India's approach has been pragmatic, not ideological. We engage all sides. We engage with Israel, Gulf states, and Iran through country specific policies, avoiding utopian pan West Asia doctrines. This has allowed India to secure our energy needs. What is the benefit India is getting? India is going to secure its energy needs, and it is going to protect our diaspora, and it is going to expand the trade and defense cooperation across this region. So in conclusion, the West Asia is undergoing political re-engineering and strategic realignment. For India, the lessons are very much clear. Number one, it needs to defend its national interest. It may choose unilateralism, multilateralism, depending on the situation and depending on the national interest. Even though India is very much proactive about the multilateralism, but still, when it comes to national interest, it will not think twice to go to take an unilateral decisions. Recently, we have seen. So we are attacked the Pakistan terrorist sites. So even though it is not with respect to the principles of the multilateralism, but still we did it, because for us national interest is very much important. The second important lesson for India is delicate diplomatic balance, because we know that Israel and Iran both are very much important. So both should not feel that India is not able to take a decision. So we need to maintain a very much a delicate diplomatic balance. The third one, we must prepare for the changing warfare landscapes. Of course, we are ready, but still there are some gaps were identified during the Operation Sindoor, and we need to fill it up. The fourth one, we need to understand the double standards of the governments, especially the Europe, the Western countries. They have always a double standards. They will stand only for the action what they take, and they will criticize every other person. So that is also should be very much careful. And the fifth important takeaway is we need to stay firm on our strategic autonomy. We should not involve any other country to come and to teach or to preach us what should be done at this situation. So we need to maintain always our strategic autonomy. So this is the key takeaways, and this is the opinion of the former ambassador who wrote this article in Indian Express. I hope this session helps you to build a nuanced understanding of West Asia's crisis and how India fits into the picture. Thank you. We will see in the next lecture.